easier than the ones I gave you earlier? They were. Why were they easier? Less words. When you come to those standards that look like a paragraph, God bless you. Because it's too many ideas crunched together, and you have to take the time to break it down. Like I said, what does this mean in the real world for my kids? Because otherwise, it's just a bunch of words on a piece of paper, and you're going to skip over that standard, or you're going to interpret it in the easiest way possible. Because that's human nature, and I totally get it. Would have done the same thing. So that's why I'm trying to show you here how some are complicated and some aren't quite so complicated. These were a little bit easier to do, weren't they? Okay, because they're like one line. All right, so let's talk a little bit on the first one. Identify the reasons and evidence a speaker provides to support particular points. This is 4th grade, 3rd month. Where did we put that, 4th grade teachers? It's a B, yeah. B, C, somebody said C. All right, B what? Is it just remembering or is it understanding? 2, it's understanding it, and somebody said 4, it's analyzing it. Okay, let me give you this thought though. I agree with those, and there are other group that says no. What happens is when you have the word identify, the teacher has taught a consecutive list of things that they have to go in and look for. If you're just identifying, it's only a 1. I think that simplifies it too much, because in teaching this, I think it takes a little bit more than just being able to remember what the teacher said and having a list. I think they have to go in and look, when you're looking for evidence, you take it a little bit further. So that's why this is important to have this conversation, because if you don't have the conversation about what does this really mean, how are you going to know where you're supposed to be teaching it, what you're supposed to be doing? What about the second one, which is measurement data for 6th grade? 3rd grade, sorry. Measure areas by counting unit squares. What is that? That is that's a 3, and it is what kind of knowledge? C. It's a procedure, right? And I don't have a key definitely here. I just again have the most common responses for this, but they're all over the place. How about the 3rd one? Retell stories including key details and demonstrate understanding of their central message or lesson. That is that 1st grade or 2nd grade? Is it 1.2? Okay, thank you. B1. I got a B1 over here. B2. B2. Bingo. Okay. B1, B2, common responses. I also have, believe it or not, C2 as a common response. I'm not sure why. I just don't know that some people thought it was a procedural thing. Because they're retelling. And I suppose if you teach kids a particular way to retell a story, because you know there are those little things you do, this, and this, who, what, where, because, that kind of deal, that is kind of a procedure. All right, how about, determine a theme or central idea. 7th grade, B4, right? That's the most common one. Anybody have something else? B4. How about measure angles in whole number degrees using protractor? Sketch angles of specified measure.
2 different ones because it's 2 different.
It's 2 different things. Good job. There should be 2 there, shouldn't there? Anybody have C3?
Yes.
Anybody have C3 for both of them?
No.
C3 and C6. Yes, a lot of people did that. I'm sorry, what?
You skipped one.
I'm sorry. Cite textual evidence to support analysis of what the text says explicitly. That is 6th grade. Somebody tell me what that was. C3, B4, C2. You want to know the most common response?
Yes.
B4. Most common response. Before what? Before what? How about use propositional relationships to solve multi-step ratio and percent problems? Gosh, I can't even talk anymore. C3. It is teaching a procedure of procedural knowledge. Okay. How about explain a proof of the Pythagorean theorem and its converse? explain is obviously B. I'm sorry, 2. And it's what kind of knowledge? I'm okay, really. I'm getting tired of it. B. Conceptual. Conceptual, it's a B too. Analyze, I love it when they use the verb that helps. Don't you love those? Analyze how a particular element of a story or drama interacts. That would be what? B4. Or C4, if you're teaching a procedure, correct. Determine author's point of view or purpose in a text and explain how it's conveyed in a text. B2. Okay, let's back up a little bit. When you're determining the author's point of view or purpose in a text, what are you doing? You're determining their point of view.
Identifying it.
You could be identifying it. Could you be analyzing it? Is it that depth? D? No. You know, I guess it depends on what you're actually having to do, doesn't it? The most common response to that one, I'll take you out of your misery, is B4 or B2. Write arguments to support claims with clear reason and relevant evidence. Anytime you have right, but the verb is right, what kind of process? It depends on what they're writing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So what do you think would be the most common one? B6. Rewrite. Now that's a different when you're rewriting, because then aren't you having to take the information and come up with your own way to do it? Rewrite expressions involving radicals, rationals, exponents, and using the properties of exponents. What would that be, math people? Is that a procedure that you teach? I can honestly tell you I would have no idea because I don't even understand that. But it sounds really, really good. The most common response for that one was C3, teaching a procedure. Last one, prove that, given a system of 2 equations and 2 variables, replacing one equation by the sum of that equation and a multiple of the other produces a system with the same solution. Hello? I'm trying to read it dramatically. This is a tough room. God, this is a tough room. Okay, most common response, C4. Okay, how do you feel about this? Totally confused? All right. And now you say to me, Connie, why are you putting through this pain? We don't want to do it. Because what I want you to do is I want you to really think about what you're teaching. I want you to think about what you're supposed to be teaching, and then I want you to think about how it aligns with what you do every day. My guess is that you are doing a lot more complex things than some of these have talked about. You know, we've talked about A1, B2, and C3. My guess is that you are all teaching things that go way past that. Because what you do is you follow your kids. You watch your kids, you listen to them, you learn from them, you know what they need next. And if they don't need those things, you move them on to the next step. What I want to challenge you to do is if you're teaching in A1, B2, and C3, I want you to think how you can move one thing over a little bit farther. And again, I will tell you the key is the questions that you ask. And I'm going to give you a whole list of questions next time. So let's just talk a little bit here about what we're going to do for next time. In your folders, you have another set of objectives. They are kind of goldenrod colored. You see those? Those are more from the Iowa Corps. I'm letting you go a whole hour early because I'm going to ask you to look at those and see if you can figure them out before tomorrow morning. If you can't, the world will not collapse. No one's going to come around and go, just, you don't have your assignment done. But we are going to talk about those tomorrow. So if you have a chance to at least look at them, they are on the goldenrod ones in your handout. Also, that's what it says, classify, intend, and learning. That's that one. Okay, before you go to day 2, there should be in your packet a, not bound, it's pink. It's a, one of these, ticket out the door, what square truth they're thinking, what's still going around in your head, and what 3 points you want to make up for. I would like you to complete that. We'll begin tomorrow morning at 8:30. You could start a little bit earlier. We will be done by noon. Okay, now this next instruction is really, really important, so I'm going to stop so you make sure. You need to bring something tomorrow from your classrooms or wherever you have it, so that because you're going to work on your own units, your own lessons, and you're going to put them on this table yourself. and I'm going to give you time tomorrow morning to do that. Because the whole goal of this class is that when I go away and you never see me again, you can take out that little blue sheet and say, oh yeah, Connie taught us how to use this. You can take it and you can do your lessons, you can do your assessments, you can do the standards that you're working from, and look at, and you can see alignment. In college, they don't teach you very good about alignment. Will you guys talk to them about what you want them to bring? Well, I can bring.
We're all thinking that you can bring what you want, but, you know, if you're gonna be working in your groups tomorrow, it might be for like elementary, bring something that you would all have in common, like reading. Bring a reading manual maybe, and either your computers you access plan book for your standards for reading, or that literacy core booklet.
I'd say, like 7-12 folks, you just want to maybe bring some sort of content that you're going to teach sometime in the first few weeks of school, okay? Not like procedures, like here's how we hand in, you know, assignments or something like that, but some actual content that you connect to a standard that you're going to do sometime at the beginning. Think about the first class that you're teaching that are content standard based, and bring some of that stuff, whatever you're going to do. You've already planned to.
If you teach in units, this works really well for a unit of study, but I know not everybody teaches everything in units, so you don't have to do that. Like this, whatever works best for you. But here's the key, folks. Whatever activity you've got that you're writing down that you're going to do, you have to be able to tie it back to a standard. If you don't know the standard that it's tied to, you shouldn't be doing it. So make sure that you know where all your things are headed towards. Don't be like I was when I started out. Activities are great, remember? Have a big plan that all of your lessons culminating lead up to this learning. And everyone should point in that direction. And that's what I want you to be able to do. So if you're not sure which standards things are tied into, bring the standards with you or be able to go online and look them up. Okay, make sense? All right, now, if you would pretty please complete the pink sheet. Go ahead. Okay, Judy.
I would ask you to bring plan book with you, or bring your computer so you can access plan book. Some of you have never done it before, it might be a good opportunity for us to get you on there and see. I look through, there are standards, they may not be Iowa core standards, but there are standards in every content area I looked at. There are fine art standards, there are preschool standards, so there are standards in there for you to look at. So
Yeah. Every content area has them. If you're not in the core, you're teaching something else, you still have standards and objectives.
They're in plan book,
So bring those in if you're not sure where they are. Okay, do you have any questions for me about tomorrow? 8:30, get your homework done if you can. If not, we'll do it in class.
Okay, one more thing about
Sure,
tomorrow.
Judy.
We will be supplying coffee and the rest of the juice, whatever it is. We probably will not have any food, so I'm sorry, you're gonna have to.
Oh, man.
Unless I put that in, then you're on your, taking a chance there, so.
If you would pretty please leave your pink sheets when you're done with them on the tables, I will pick them up. Are there any questions for me before you go here today? By the way, ladies and gentlemen, you did a really good job today. This is not easy to get through, and you've just really hung right in there with me, and I appreciate that. And tomorrow, hopefully, it'll all make sense because you'll be doing on your own stuff that you know. Have a good evening, everybody.
That helps me write.